Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to talk about adding integers, and we will begin with adding integers with the same sign. We will proceed later on to add integers with different signs, and the methods for adding those integers is different based on whether their signs are the same or different. I'm going to show you two different methods. The first method uses the T, and the method for adding integers with the same sign using this method is to go ahead and place the numbers in the column according to their signs, but we don't include the sign. And in this example, we're going to be adding -4 plus -2. And one of the things I want to remind you of is you always look to the left of the number to determine what sign it has. So -4 plus -2, they're both negative, so they both should be placed in the negative column. And again, don't include their signs. Their signs are assumed by the column you place them in. The rule is if they're in the same column, then you add the numbers. So we would add 4 and 2 to get 6. Our resulting answer has the same sign of the column that we're in, so we need to make that a -6 for our final answer. The second method uses a number line, and we're going to use the same example on a number line. If we're adding -4 plus -2, we always start at 0, and from 0, since our first number is negative, that means you move 4 units to the left. Positive numbers would be to the right, negative numbers move to the left because they are smaller than 0. So we start at 0 and we go 4 units to the left. Then we want to add a -2, so from there we're going to go 2 units left. So 2 more units left, and where we land is our answer. So we ended up on -6, so our final answer is -6, the same answer we got with the other method. When we have integers with different signs, again, we start by putting the numbers in the column according to their signs. This time we have two numbers that have different signs. We have a +5. When there's no sign at all to the left of 5, it's assumed to be positive. 2 has a negative sign, so they're going to be in different columns this time. And the rule for subtracting, or when we're adding integers with different signs, we move the smaller number under the bigger number. So 2 is smaller than 5, so it moves. And when we move the number, then instead of adding the numbers, we will now subtract the numbers. So when we subtract 5 and 2, we end up with the number 3. And lastly, we keep the sign under the column we're in, so this is going to be a result of a +3. Again, using our number line method, we are going to start at 0. Since 5 is positive, we're going to move 5 units to the right. The 2 is negative, which means we move in a left direction from the 5. So we're at +5, but now we're going to go 2 left, and we end up at +3, just like we had in the last example. So it doesn't matter which method you use, you end up with the same answer. So use the method that makes more sense to you or is easier for you to use. Another property you need to be aware of and understand is the property of an additive inverse. And to understand this property, you need to know what opposites are. So two numbers that have the same absolute value but different signs are called opposites. For example, -2 and +2 are opposites. So any number with its opposite, when you add them, give you 0. So we say that an integer and its opposite are called additive inverses. And any number that you add to its opposite will give you the additive inverse of 0. Pretty simple, basic concept. This allows us to go ahead and make addition of multiple numbers a little bit easier. So if we have a bunch of numbers together in a string, we can move them around and add them according to what's easiest mathematically. So in this example, we have -4 plus -12 plus 4. Well, -4 and +4 are additive inverses, so if we put those together and add them first, that'll make the math a lot easier. The commutative property is the one that allows us to change the order. So now we know -4 plus +4 gives us a 0, and that makes the math very simple, so our answer is -12. Here's a word problem. Let's suppose Eric's savings account balance is $235. The question says, what is his balance after he uses his ATM to withdraw $58 and $67? Well, we need to know what a withdrawal means. When we withdraw money from an account, that takes money away, so it decreases the balance. So these two numbers need to be negative or subtracting. And remember, subtraction is just adding the opposite. So to set up a math problem, we could say $235, which is his beginning balance, add a negative 58 plus a negative 67. Now we can group those negative numbers together. Okay, so we have the same sign. Use whichever of those two methods you prefer. And when you add the two negatives together, you get $125, and that's still negative. Okay, both are negative, same sign, add the numbers, and the answer is still negative. If you owe money and you owe more money, you owe a lot of money. So now we have a positive 235 that's in his account. We're taking away 125 from his account, so that's like a subtraction problem, and we're left with $110. So his new balance would be $110. Here are 10 problems for you to go ahead and try on your own. Bring your answers to class and we'll go through those at the beginning of the hour. See you next time.